So we'll be having only 3 classes, including today's one. And it's going to be a very hectic one. So I'm going to rush through certain things. But my plan is, what we have learned so far, we have covered almost the syllabus. It is up to you. I have taught you facility sums, how to do it. I did about 3-4 sums with you for you to continue. It is up to you to do the thing and get the practice. Without practice, you won't be able to face the exam, right? And all this time, I was telling like a Buddhist monk. I was preaching for you to do. I don't think you have done it. So it is up to you, right? So when I see the answer papers, sometimes I feel very bad as the teacher, because how you have answered, right? You don't know what to do. You are messing up the whole thing, and some answers only 2-3 words, expecting me to give marks. No, this is the postgraduate executive diploma, postgraduate. So you all are qualified people, and this is a postgraduate one. So we expect that standard, that quality you have to maintain, right? That quality you have to maintain. I can remember I was the first batch, the very first batch of postgraduate executive diploma, very first batch. That was in 1989, right? We had only 12 people. We had only 12 people in that first batch, because at that time I was the imports manager at Standard Chartered Bank. Standard Chartered Bank operations manager was there. National Bank operation manager was there. Then National Bank head of corporate was there. Right? Only 12 people, because that is what IBSL expected us. And the lectures, it was like a university. And today you are so lucky. Some of the lecturers we couldn't, because the lecturer, he himself forget that he is having a lecture. We were having the classes at Post Avenue. That was a nice history. You won't believe, because since we all were top executives of respective banks, we came to classes in our own vehicles. Sometimes we used to go to what do you call this, lecturer's house and get him. Then only he remembers, oh my God, today I'm having your lecture, I missed it, right? He was having an evening nap. That was the first batch. But the standard was very high. Now we are having hundreds and hundreds of people, but the same syllabus we are teaching, but the quality has come down. It is up to you, right? So don't think that this exam is going to be a light one. This is a postgraduate executive diploma. Please study hard. You will be having about another 1 month, 2 months time for the exam. So please do it. We have to maintain the quality, right? And my plan for the next 3 days is, today I'm going to cover up standby LCs. I'm not going to discuss article by article, some awareness, and then URR, Uniform Rules for Reimbursement. The majority of us, we need URR when you are learning about the Uniform Rules. Reimbursement. We can do more work with UCP 600 Article 13, right? But there are certain instances the banks specially mention subject to URR 725. Then we have to learn what is URR 725 and so forth. And then If time permits, I'm trying to go through the URC again. You all are having URC. When I give the 10 minutes break today, first 10 minutes break, please go and pick your URC. URC rules because I'm going to discuss that. Right? 10 minutes break එකේදී ටක් ගාලා දුවලා ගිහිල්ලා ඔය තිබු තැනකින් ඇති මේ පොඩක් දුවිලි එහෙම ගහලා නැත්නම් උගන්ට කිඹුන් ගන්න ගත්තොත් එම ප්‍රශ්නයක් මම දන්නවා එහෙම කොහොමද තියෙන්නේ කියලා. ඔය තියෙන තැනකින් හොයලා පොඩක් දුවිලි පොඩක් ගසලා කරලා මේ rules ටික ළඟින් තියාගන්න. හරි. එතන ඒක last පිටේ ඉන්න අපි පුළුවන් තරම් කරමු. And last day we have given Kalinga has given. Kalinga is doing a better job than most of you. He's very, very keen, very keen on how to manage these courses. Right? He's very keen. One of the top guys I have come across. Without him, I don't think we can do these classes. Right? He's the one who is reminding me and behind me and telling me, sir, we have only 2 classes, 3 classes, like that. So he has already uploaded, before you asked, he has already uploaded 2 past papers. It is up to you to do the past papers. Because I'll be only going through the past papers. The final day, I can go through the past papers. Right? So everything is there. Ball is in your court. You better play. Right? Okay. Now, standby letter of credit. Standby letter of credit is a perfect backup plan for any trade finance people, because this is the alternative for bank guarantees. Bank guarantees and standby letter of credit. Standby letter of credit. Both functionally equal. But bank guarantees are governed by separate ICC regulations, URDG 758. Here, by ISP 98, International Standby Practices 98. Right? So that's the only difference. And this is going like a LC, but the functionally it is same. Because most of the countries, European countries, as well as America, bank guarantees are not in use. According to their country law, bank guarantees are not acceptable. So in those countries, this is the alternative for bank guarantees. Right? Historically, banks in the US were not allowed to issue bank guarantees, bonds. The task was basically only allowed for insurance companies. The banks were not allowed to issue any bank guarantees. And remember, when we were talking about bank guarantees, we touch insurance companies also. There are 2 organizations who can issue bank guarantees, that is either banks or insurance companies. I can still remember because yesterday I did bank guarantees for DABF guys. Right? I think as an insurance companies, ලංකාවේ කරන්නේ නැහැ. ලංකාවේ කරන්නේ banks. But some other countries වල insurance companies කරනවා. As an alternative, banks discovered that if you copy paste the guarantee text into a LC, right, with a few tweaks, you could have a similar instrument as a bank guarantee. Right? Even has a few advantages over the regular guarantee. මේක තමයි බැලුවේ. Banks වල there should be a way out now. So why can't we copy paste the guarantee text into an LC? Then we can get some document, right? Right. So that was the origin of standby LCs, right? Differences to the regular LCs, the normal LCs, how it gets differed, because both instruments are governed by UCP 600. Can you remember Article 1? Article 1 of UCP 600, it clearly says The uniform, I'm reading the Article 1, application of UCP. The Uniform Customs and Practice for Documented Credit, 2007 revision, publication number 600, are rules that apply to the documentary, that apply to any documented credit, including to the extent to which they may be applicable any standby letter of credit. So even for regular LCs and standby LCs, both UCP 600 can be applied. But for standby LCs, there is different specifically done rule set, that is ISP 98. The main difference is in the purpose of the instrument. Because when you issue a regular LC, right, how we pay the money, regular LCs, all these things I have discussed when I discussed with you regarding the types of LCs, special types of LCs. When we issue a LC, how we pay? If the documents are complied with the terms and conditions of the LC, we will pay. If the documents are complied with the terms and conditions of the LC, we will pay. Right? That means first you have to fulfill the obligations. Then we will pay. But under standby LCs, it's a different thing. If there's a default, this is a default instrument. If you don't fulfill your obligations, then we will pay. Guarantee. If you don't fulfill the obligations, then the bank will pay. They will honor the guarantee. Same here. Right? So the standby LC is a default instrument. For example, you would, in most cases, use the instrument in case of the client not performing under the contract. Whereas with a regular LC, the instrument is a pure payment instrument. LC can make a pure payment instrument, default instrument. Right? Advantage to a normal LC, you might get a brief notes day. What are the differences of the standby LC and a regular LC? Then you should be able to explain that. Right? ළමයි ඔගොල්ලෝ කරන්නේ බැංකර්ස්ලා සීනියර් බැංකර්ස්ලා මුදල පාඩම් කරන්න කියන්නේ සමහර ඒවා මට කියන්න වෙනවා ලැජ්ජ වුණාට කියන්න වෙනවා සමහරවිට මම ගෙදර ඉඳන් පේපර්ස් බලද්දී අයියෝ කියලා එකපාරට කියවෙනකොට වයිෆ් ළඟ ඉන්න නම් එලා අහනවා ඇයි මොකද අයියෝ කිව්වේ කියලා අනේ ළමයි ටිකක් පොඩ්ඩක් ලියන් ගිහිල්ලා ඊට පස්සේ ලියනවා සිංහලෙන් ලියනවා ඉතින් මට පව් කියලා හිතන හින්දා මම කවදාකවත් කපන්නේ නැහැ මට ඒක කපන්න හිතෙන්නේ නැහැ අයිඩියා එක තියෙනවා නම් හොඳට තේරුම් අරන් තියෙනවා නම් ඒ ළමයාගේ තියෙන යම් කිසි භාෂා ඥානෙ දුර්වලකමක් විතර නම් මම ඉතින් ගොඩක් වෙලාට අඩු ගානේ ලකුණු 10ක් දෙන එකට ලකුණු 4ක්වත් දෙනවා. නිකන් බින්දුව දාලා දාන්නේ නැහැ මේක. නමුත් ඒක කරන්න එපා. හරිද? ලියන්න පුරුදු වෙන්න. ඔයගොල්ලෝ බැංකර්ස්ලා. එක බැංකුවක්වත් සිංහලෙන් කරන්නේ නැහැ. කියන්නේ අපි කතා බහ කරලා රණය කළාට මේ අප්ලෝඩ් කරද්දී ඉංග්‍රීසියෙන් තමයි කරන්න වෙන්නේ. මම හිතන්නේ මේ රූරල් බැංක් එකක්වත් කම්පියුටර් අප්ලෝඩ් කරනකොට සිංහලෙන් කරනවාද කියලා මම දන්නේ. Right? They can the product. Advantage to a normal LC, only need to present documents at a default situation. Less documents needed, less chances for discrepancies. Discrepancies check kari lagne hai na bhi. Very lazy. Right? Less documents needed. Arage commercial invoice in 3 copies, BL in 3 copies, then phytosanitary certificates, insurance, transport, other transport documents, other certificates, certificate of origin, you got on there. අපිට ඕනේ වැඩේ කලේ නෑ. ඒකෙන්ද මට සල්ලි ටික දෙන්න. ඔකට දුන්නා. එච්චරයි. On demand we pay. Right? Cheaper when compared to a documented rate. Cheaper when compared to documented rate. Why it is cheaper? Because we can issue the standby letter of credit for the period of 6 months or 1 year. And then during that period, then normal between the buyer and the seller, or the contractor and the beneficiary, things will move on. Only if there's a default, only this will be claimed, right? Usually, the standby LCs will not have a tenor, but will be for payment at site against a first demand claim. LCs olage usance period ganne on demand. The moment you demand, you have to pay, right? The underlying rules for standby LCs can be UCP 600 or ISP 98. Okay. What is a standby LC? The short version, it is a bank guarantee in LC format. Right? So if I give you a question like this, what is a standby LC and how it differs from a regular LC? Right. The slightly longer version, it is a conditional promise to pay. It's a conditional promise to pay. For example, a bank is guaranteeing payment against a claim if and when such a claim complies with the conditions of the standby LC and the underlying rules. Right? The instrument is relative, straightforward, but requires quite a bit of trust on the side of the applicant. Right? The instrument is relative, straightforward, but requires quite a bit of trust on the side of the applicant. Right? Differences to a bank guarantee. Now, how it differs to a bank guarantee? Earlier, we learned about how it differs to a regular LC. Now, we'll see differences to a bank guarantee. The main difference with a regular bank guarantee is the level playing field it offers. Level playing field it offers. Level playing field කියන අපිට ඕනම විදියකට මේක කරකවගෙන වැටි කරගන්න පුළුවන් වෙනවා. Right? Disregarding URDG 758, most bank guarantees will be subject to local law only, which will potentially put one of the participating parties at a disadvantage. මේක හරි important. මට මේක අමතකුණා කියන්න බැංක් ගැරන්ටිස් ගැන කියනකොට ඔයගොල්ලෝ මේක මතක තියාගන්න ඒක එතෙන්ට ඇප්ලයි කරගන්න. Bank guarantees are governed by URDG 758. But most of the bank guarantees will be subject to the local law. අපි දානවනේ this bank guarantee will be subject to the jurisdiction of Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka. Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka. Kita gahano jurisdiction. Itu me ලංකාවේ jurisdiction එක කියන්නේ ලංකාවේ නීත්‍යානුකූලව නීති ප්‍රකාරව. ලංකාවේ නීති ප්‍රකාරව කියන්නේ ලංකාවේ නීතිය. අපි කෙලින්ම කියලා තියෙන්නේ. ඉතින් එහෙමනම් the local law will supersede this international regulation. Right? The standby LC issued under either ISP 98 or UCP 600 will offer a public set of rules which is clear to all. Now you must be thinking why ඔයගොල්ලන්ට මතක නම් මම හිතන්නේ ඔච්චර මතක තියෙයි කියලා මං කියන ඒවා ඉවනම් මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ මගෙන් මෙලහට අහලා එක ළමයි සර් කියලා තියෙනව නේද මේ UCP URC උනත් මොන හරි local law will supersede the ICC regulation කියලා දවසක් කිව්ව නේද කියලා කියයි. ඔව් ඇත්ත. Right? But chances are very rare. Chances are very rare. Because we are not mentioning anything about the jurisdiction. And එතන වෙනස තියෙන්නේ. Whether it's ISP 98 or UCP 600, we are not mentioning, there's no clause to say it is subject to the jurisdiction of Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka කියන එක නෑ. මෙතන තියෙනවා. බැංක් ගැරන්ටි එක අපි දානවා. ඒක දාන්නම ඕන. නඩුවක් දාන්න කොහෙද අපි නඩුව දාන්නේ පුළුවන් කියන එක ඉන්නේ එතනින්. right? එතකොට මේවා ඉන්ටර්නැෂනල් ආබිට්‍රේෂන් යන පුළුවන් අර කෝට්ස් වලම කරන්න වෙනවා. That's the difference. Again, disregarding URDG 758, the expiry date in a standby LC is a expiry date. There are no open-ended standby LCs. Expiry date in a standby LC is a expiry date. There's no open-ended standby LCs. Right? I mean, this is my expiry date. The underlying rules, what are the underlying rules? It is governed by UCP 600 also, Article 1, Ankoni, ISP 98. Second one is ISP 98. Both rules are governed by the ICC and are quite similar in a number of ways. However, the latter was specifically designed for standby LCs. Right? The ISP 98 was specifically designed for standby LCs. By now, I have seen quite some improved practices in banks of using ISP 98. Then LCs ISP 98 again. The banks are by. මට අනන්ත ටෙලිෆෝන් කෝල්ස් එනවා ට්‍රේඩ් ෆයිනෑන්ස් ඩිපාර්ට්මන්ට්ස් වලින් එක බැංක්ස් වලින් සර් මාර වැඩේන සර් මේ LC එකක් හම්බෙලා තියෙනවා සබ්ජෙක්ට් ටු ISP 98 කියලා. ඉතින් ඒගොල්ලෝ දන්නේ නැහැ දන්නවනේ දන්නේ නැද්ද? දන්නවා සර් එන්ට මේ අපි ISP 98 කරන්නේ නැහනේ. එහෙම බැංකුවලට කියන්න බෑ. That is your lack of knowledge. Right? You can't say. You can't refuse. So what they will do is, මම දැන් මොකද කළේ? නෑ සර් මේක කරන්න පුළුවන් ද බැරිද කියලා මේක කරන්න අපි LC එක රිෆර් කළා අපේ ලීගල් ඩිපාර්ට්මන්ට්. ඔය මට එන කෝල්ස්. මේ ලීගල් ඩිපාර්ට්මන්ට් එක කොහොමද ඔයගොල්ලන්ට දෙන්නේ උත්තරේ? දන්නේ නැහැ සර් බෝලේ පාස් කළා එහාට. ඒගොල්ලෝ කිව්වොත් අපි කරනවා. එතකොට අපේ පිටේ ප්‍රශ්න නැහැ නේ අපි අතෝද ගත්තා සර්. ඒගොල්ලෝනේ ගිහිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ. මොකද? සපයිද? බැංකුවලට හරියයිද? ඔයගොල්ලෝ ලැජ්ජ වෙන්න ඕන. එහෙම හිතන්නත් බෑ. අපිට ඒ විදිහට බෑ. right? ඔන්න ටිකක් වෙලා යනකොට මට එනවා ඒකට තව කෝල් එකක් එනවා. ඒ කොහෙන්ද? අර කිව්ව ලීගල් ඩිපාර්ට්මන්ට් එකෙන් ලෝයර් කෙනෙක්. ඒකත් දන්න කෙනෙක්. එක්කෝ අඳුරන දුවෙක් හරි කවුරු හරි පුතෙක් හරි නෑදෑයෙක් කෙනෙක් හරි දන්නවා. අංකල් මෙහෙම උගන්වනවා කියලා අන්න කෝල් කරනවා. අංකල් මේම මොකද ස්ටෑන්ඩ් බයි LC එකක් ඇවිල්ලාද? අංකල් කොහොමද දන්නේ? මම දන්නවා දැන් මොනවද වෙලා තියෙන්නේ කියලා. මේ ISP 98 කියන අංකල් අපි දන්නේ නැහැ නේ මේක දෙයක් මේගොල්ලෝ බෝලේ අපිට තල්ලු කරලා කියනවානේ මේකට ඇප්‍රූවල් එක දෙන්නේ කියලා. ඇත්ත තමයි. ට්‍රේඩ් එක දන්නේ නැත්නම් ලීගල් එක කොහොමද දන්නේ? නේද? ඔන්න ඔය වගේ තත්ත්වයකට පත් වෙන්න එපා. ආවොත් කරන්න. මේ රූල්ස් තියෙනවනේ. රූල්ස් එක කියවලා බලලා ඒ ටික කරන්න ලොකු අමාරුවක් නැහැ. අමාද රූල්ස් නොකලත් ඔයගොල්ලොත් එක්ක වැඩ ලොකු අමාරුවක් නැහැ. කියවම තේරෙනවා. ඉංග්‍රීසි පොඩ්ඩක් දැනගන්න විතරයි ඕනේ. රයිට්. හරියට මේ කරගෙන යන්න පුළුවන්. Right. Although ISP 98 is geared towards the standby LCs, there seems to be some reluctance by parties to issue a standby LCs under these rules. Dekane, UCP 600 will work almost just as well as ISP 98. However, its documentary requirements will apply just as hard as they would for a normal documentary presentation under regular LC. Right? Regarding original shipping documents being consistent, ඕන එකක් කරගෙන යන්න පුළුවන්. මේ අපේ ලංකාව විතරයි ඔය ISP 98 එක වැඩි යන්නේ නැත්තේ. දැන් එනවා ඒක ඉස්සරහට වැඩි වෙනවා. නැත්තම් අපිට අර විදිහට cover up එකකට backup එකකට යන්න පුළුවන්. The rules, consistency of documents under ISP 98 only if so indicated under UCP 600 always as stated above under UCP documents will be fully checked as if it was a regular presentation under an LC. Again, under UCP 600, a regular LC, we have to fully check any presentation as per UCP 600 Article 12. Right? Then, UCP contains 12 subclauses for document examination. Article 14. Article 14 again, 12 subclauses. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, subclause. Article 14. Ethic උඩ තමයි check කරන්න. ISP basically states that documents on their face need to comply. That's it. Right? Very simple. When to use the standby LC? There are a number of situations. The standby LC would be a good option. Perhaps the worst reason, you have difficulty presenting credit confirmed documents under a regular LC and want to make your life easier. Regular LC credit confirmed documents, but this will make your life easier. Demand right? The standby LC will be a good alternative, as claiming under a standby LC is much easier than under a documentary LC. However, there's a bit of risk here. The standby LC is a first demand payment guarantee. On demand, we have to pay. And the exporter does not have to prove, documentary wise, that they actually shipped anything. Right? He doesn't have to give documentary proof. But sometimes, if the standby LC, in one of their conditions, if they have mentioned, you have to provide this documentary evidence. Documentary evidence to තිබුණොත් අන්නේ documents එක දෙන්න වෙනවා. Right? Like bank guarantee එක අපි issue කරනවා to construct 10-story building. To finalize the payment, what is the most important document the beneficiary needs? Once a contractor finishes the thing, what is the most important document the beneficiary needs before finalizing the final payment?
Bank guarantee.
Bank guarantee නෙමෙයි. මොකද බැංක් ගැරන්ටි එක ඉල්ලන්න ඕන ඩොකියුමන්ට් මම ගත්ත උදාහරණයකට කන්ස්ට්‍රක්ෂන් එකේ. කන්ස්ට්‍රක්ෂන් එකේදී
performance bond
no එච්චරෙන්ද බා. ඔයගලන්ගේ ගේ හදනකොට හවුසින් ලෝන් එකක් අරන් ගේ හැදුවම ගෙට පදිංචි දෙන්න ඉස්සලා මොකද්ද ඉල්ලන්නේ? බැංක් එකකට ඉල්ලනවා.
COC.
බැංක් එකෙන් කියනවා හවුසින් ලෝන් එක දෙනකොටම කියනවා
certificate of
COC.
conformity.
COC certificate of conformity COC ඉල්ලනවා. දැන් එතන අපිට ඕන නම් clause එකක් දාන්න පුළුවන්. If they cannot submit the COC or if the COC is incomplete, then we will be claiming it. Then we have to send a copy of the COC to the bank along with our claim. එච්චරයි තියෙන්නේ. Right? දැන් ගොඩක් ඒවා නම් එහෙම නැහැ. කෙලිම on demand ගන්නවා. Perhaps the reasons between the parties, buyer and the seller, you have a certain amount of trust, so you do the transaction, but the entire operation for a period of 1 year or 6 months is covered with a standby LC. It's like an insurance, right? You do, and suppose if one party fails, right? If the beneficiary fails, then the other party will claim, right? The only in case of a default you would claim. Otherwise, you will just keep it on the file during the performance of the contract, and after that we cancel it. Without using it, will get cancelled, right? But even if you cancel it without using, everybody, both parties will be very happy. Well, they have sent the goods, they have got the money. So after all, everybody was living happily thereafter. Fairy tales වල කතා කරන්න වගේ. නේ අන්න ඒ වගේ අපි හරි ලේසි මේක. What documents to ask for? When you are the seller, the correct answer to below questions should be as little as possible. Right? If you are the seller, then now you think that you are the seller. Standard would be an invoice plus claim letter. Invoice plus claim letter. Basically stating that the counterpart did fulfill his contractual obligation and therefore you would claim XXX amount. Right? If you are the seller, you will say, when the invoice, this is what I have dispatched to them, shipped the goods, but they have not paid this amount. Therefore, I am claiming this amount. For the buyer, issuing this standby LC would also argue that the claim letter should mention to what particular part of the contract the applicant did not fulfill. In this way, you can somewhat limit that the beneficiary would claim full standby LC amount for a minor issue. Because specifically, even for a minor issue, minor issue කියන්නේ බඩු ඔක්කොම හරියට හම්බෙලා පොඩි වැඩක් හින්දා අපි මේ සල්ලි ඇරලා ඔක්කොම මේ රුපියල් 200ක 300ක අඩුපාඩුවක් හින්දා ක්ලේම් කළාම සම්පූර්ණම amount එක ක්ලේම් කරන්න ඕනේ. You can't claim bit and pieces නේ. ඒකෙන්ද බයගේ පැත්තෙන් ඒගොල්ලෝ කියනවා මොන particular part of the contract එක වෙන් කරලා ඉල්ලන්න පුළුවන්. So when you are drafting the standby LCs, you have to think like that. Now, what could go wrong? In case you will switch from documentary letter of credit to semi-open account, you will notice that it will have an immediate effect on your cash flow planning. Right? Open account එකට අපේ cash flow planning වල අපිට immediate change එකක් තියෙනවා. With LCs, there will be, in most cases, a clear maturity payment date. You present credit confirmed documents and the payment date is set. Okay? With a standby LC, you are going back to the open account reality. For instance payment, end of month, 30 days after having received the invoice, or worst case, right? The guys who is supposed to sign is on holiday, etc. And we will pay you next week. Okay? In Diploma. Therefore, when switching, do account for payment delay. Therefore, when switching, do account for payment delays. අපි මෙයාගේ දේවල්ට payment delays ඉන්න පුළුවන්, but හැමතිස්සෙම 100% level playing field එක නෙමෙයි අපි play කරන්නේ, but we can mitigate most of the areas. On the back of the last point made regarding the payment,
Can't hear, sir.
maturity date එක can't hear. මං කොතනින්ද නැවතුනේ? Can't hear. වෙන්න බෑනේ.
Now okay.
Can you hear me now?
Now okay, sir.
Now okay.
Now okay නා? ඒක තමයි. Right, thank you very much for keeping me informed. මේක මේ සෙල්ලම් වෙනවා නිතරම. ඊයේ තුනක්. We always give a bit of extra time. For example, if the maturity is 30th September, අපි හැමතිස්සෙම දෙනවා 14 days after maturity of the LC, we'll put a claim. 14 days after LC. Then සමහරට අරයට සල්ලි යවා ගන්න ඕන. Right? පොඩි delay එකක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. One day delay එකක් වෙන්න පුළුවන් නේ. අර අපි කිව්වා වගේ අර මේ කලින් මේකේ ගියා වගේ, that guy was supposed to be on holiday, right? එහෙම නැත්නම් ඔන්න පොයි ඩේ එකක් වැටුණා. මේ එහෙම නැත්නම් එකපාරට ලොක්ඩවුන් එකක් ආවා. ඔෆිස් එකට යන්න විදියක් නැහැ. බැංක්ස් වැහුවා. බැංක්ස් වහලා මේ වගේ කොවිඩ් පැන්ඩමික් හින්දා. ස්මෝල් ඩිලේස්. ඒක කෙලින්ම අර දවසට අපි ක්ලේම් කරන එක වැරදි. ඒකෙන්ද අපි ඒක නවත්තන්න තමයි දන්නේ. Plus bit of extra time. Always keep 7 days or 14 days ගොඩක් ඒවා තියෙනවා. Right? Another issue to look out for when dealing with perhaps less scrupulous counterparts, in case you will use standby LCs in combination with an open account payment, if you could happen that payment date, the funds are not in your account, you will probably only notice the first day thereafter. When contacting the buyer, you will probably receive a nice excuse that something went wrong and he will pay as soon as possible. Make sure that you will actually have sufficient time to lodge a claim under the standby LC and please check beforehand. මේ ප්‍රැක්ටිකල් තමයි මම ගොඩක් මේ උගන් අරන් තියෙන්නේ. ඒ වගේ උත්තර එන්න පුළුවන්. Something went wrong කියලා. ඉතින් හරියටම මේ ගන්න බෑ. ඒකද ගොඩාක් ඩිලේස් තියාගන්න එපා. 1 month 14 days වගේ එකත් වැඩි. 7 days තමයි maximum තියාගන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට අපිට අරයට ගෙවන්න දෙන්න කියන්න පුළුවන්, right? No problem. As per this thing, we have 7 days. If I don't receive the money within 7 days, I'm going to claim. right? What to look for in a standby LCs when you open a standby LCs, and when we receive the standby LC, when we are checking before advising, when we are checking, we have to say expiry date. Or if you are the exporter, right? Then you will get a standby LCs. These are the things you have to look. Expiry date, enough time. Expiry place. Where does your claim need to be before 17 hours at Friday afternoon? Is there any dependency on the applicant to claim? Applicant certificate, Is there no claim before date in the claim conditions? What are the underlying rules? What effects does it have on the claiming? Who pays the charges? Blah, blah, blah. Right? So those are things what you have to look. In conclusion, standby LC can make your life easier, but make sure you keep track of all timelines and keep the claim process simple. Right? When compared to most other form of bank guarantees, the standby LC offers a level playing field to both applicant and the beneficiary. Right? Cost of a standby versus a regular LC are usually lower, but keep an eye out for late payments and missing interest as a result of this. Okay. Any questions? I'm not going to discuss with the rules with you because it's a lengthy one. Only with DIT I'm discussing. But you got a rough idea of what is standby LC and what is a standby LC and how it differs from a normal LC and how it differs from a bank guarantee. Etika product method. And what are the main items you have to check in case if you come across any standby LCs, when you go through it, what are the things you have to check? Any questions? Please ask me. Any questions? Please ask me.
Is there a single bank is involved or two banks are involved in it, like a normal LC?
This is like a normal LC. Issuing bank is there. Then advising bank will advise LC to the beneficiary. Normal LC. Right? Normal LC. Right. Now, URR 725. Uniform rules for bank-to-bank reimbursement. Uniform rules for bank-to-bank reimbursement. Before we check this, if I give you 2 minutes for you to get up and run to your tables and get the rules book. UCP 600 I need. UCP 600 I need. Right? Dua lagi lah aragan ba? Mame karan disel. Utra pide dah honda deyak karan pula. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay. Can you see this presentation?
Yes, sir.
Right, okay. Can you turn your UCP 600 to rule number 13? Rule number 13. Right. Right. What does URR 725 mean? What does URR 725 mean? Right? URR 725 are the uniform rules for bank-to-bank reimbursement under document credit ICC publication number 725. That is why this is publication number 725. That is why we say URR 725. Right? Now, when we open the UCP 600, Article 13, they talk about bank-to-bank reimbursement arrangements. Bank-to-bank reimbursement arrangements. Right? Now, under this bank-to-bank reimbursement arrangements, Article 13A, it says, if a credit states that reimbursement is to be obtained by a nominated bank, a claiming bank, claiming on another party, on the reimbursing bank, the credit must state if the reimbursement is subject to the ICC rules for bank-to-bank reimbursement in effect on the date of issuance of the credit. When we issue the LC, we had to say if the reimbursement is subject to ICC rules for bank-to-bank reimbursement. Reimbursement claim karna. Right? If it says that it is subject to uniform rules for bank-to-bank reimbursement, then URR 725 will apply. Otherwise, Article 13B, if a credit does not state that reimbursement is subject to the ICC rules for bank-to-bank reimbursement, then the following rules will apply. Then the following rules will apply. Right? So you can go through the Article 13. Bank LC is subject to uniform rules for bank-to-bank reimbursement. That means it is subject to URR 725. Is it clear? If we have not mentioned, then we have to apply UCP 600 Article 13. Is it clear? Can. But make it right. URR 725 was approved by the ICC National Committee and the ICC Banking Commission on in April 2008. URR 725 has been effective since 1st October 2008. හැබැයි URR පටන් ගත්ත කලින් මේ කතා කරන revision එක ගැන. Before that, we had URRs 525. මේක තමයි 725. URR 725 is an updated version of the previous rules for bank-to-bank reimbursement known as URR 525. මෙන්න කිව්ව එක URR 525. ඒක රිවයිස් වුණේ 2008 වලදී. right? ඒක රිවයිස් කරන්න උනේ මොකද? 2007 වලදී තව important rule එකක් රිවයිස් වුණා. ඒකට තමයි ඔක්කොම අනිත් ඒවා rule change උනේ. මොකද ඒ රිවයිස් වුණේ change එක 2007 වලදී.
UCP 600.
UCP 600. Very good, Pute. Very good. Very good. Right? ඒක change වුණාම දැන් ඒකට අනුපාතිකව මේවත් පොඩ්ඩ අපිට change කරගන්න පුළුවන්. Right? The revision was necessary to bring those the revision was necessary to bring these long-standing rules into conformity with the UCP 600. ICC's universally used rules on letters of credit. And again, to have a conformity with the UCP 600, we had to change it from URR 525 to 725. And what is the scope of URR 725? The uniform rules for bank-to-bank reimbursement under documented credits, ICC publication number 725, shall apply to any bank-to-bank reimbursement under documented credits. Any bank-to-bank reimbursements under documentary credit shall apply to, when the reimbursement authorization expressly indicates that it is subject to these rules. When the reimbursement authorization, when the issuing bank is giving the reimbursement authorization to the reimbursing bank, then you have to mention that this authorization is subject to URR 725. එතකොට තමයි අපිට බලන්න පුළුවන් ඔක්කොම මේ කව වෙනේවා ඔක්කොම එතනට එනවද කියලා. Right? The rules are binding on all parties thereto, unless expressly modified or excluded by the reimbursement authorization. The rules are binding on all parties thereto, unless expressly modified or excluded by the reimbursement authorizations. Right? Okay. How URR 725 can be applied to bank-to-bank reimbursement under a documented credit? Right? How URR 725 can be applied to bank-to-bank reimbursement under a documented credit? URR 725, the uniform rules for bank-to-bank reimbursement. The issuing bank is responsible for indicating in the documented credit that the reimbursement is subject to URR 725. As a result, both MT700 can issue of documented credit. Then when we issue the documented credit, simultaneously we'll have to send another SWIFT MT740 authorization to reimburse SWIFT message. We have to send it to the reimbursing bank. Now, for example, I'll give you a small example. Take for an example like this. People's Bank. People's Bank is issuing LC to one of their the customer says he wants to bring down certain goods from China. He wants to bring certain Dubai. He wants to bring certain goods from Dubai. So he wants to open a LC to Mahmood and Company, Mahmoodian company to they are the exporters to send the goods to Colombo. Right? මෙතෙන්දී අපි මොකද කරන්නේ? අර exporter කියනවා I want to claim reimbursement. I want to claim reimbursement. Once they send the documents, if the documents are complied with the terms and conditions of the LC, they don't want to wait till the buyer pays the money. They can claim reimbursement from the reimbursing bank. Right? එතෙන්දී මේගොල්ලෝ කරන්නේ මේ අර මොකද $740 එකක් අර issuance කරනකොටම $740 එකක් හරිනවා. Bank is Standard Chartered is in New York. Standard Chartered New York. People's Bank, Nostra account is also with New York. Standard Chartered New York. So they will send the empty 740 to Standard Chartered New York to say, under this LC, if you get a claim, pay. That's it. We authorize you to pay. We give that authority with a swift message under MT 740, authorization to reimburse. Right? Under MT 700 swift message, एक गहना MT 700 කියන්නේ opening of the LC. LC issuance, normal LC. एक गहने URR latest version. URR latest version. Then the banks knows that is URR 75. Or we will say not URR. Not URR. Not URR නම් වෙන්නේ මොකද apply වෙන්නේ? Not URR කියලා කිව්වොත් මොකද apply වෙන්නේ? UCP 600 Article 13. Bank to bank reimbursement. Then we're going to clear. URR latest version means that URR rules will apply to the bank to bank reimbursement. Not URR means that not URR rules, but UCP 600 Article 13 will apply to the bank to bank reimbursement. Is it clear? Right? Table of contents of URR 75. URR 75 consists of total of 17 articles. Right? UCP, URC, කියවන්න බැරි මේ කට පාඩම් කරගන්න බැරි ළමයින්ට මම දැන් URR උත් දාලා මුලේ මඤ්ඤම් කරන්න යන්නේ නැහැ. හැබැයි මේක දැනගන්න ඕන. මගේ මම හොඳට මේක කළාට නම් මේ කාලේ 12 classes වලින් මට handle කරන්න අමාරුයි. ඒකෙන්ද කළාට මේක දැනගන්න ඕන හින්දා මම උගන්ට URR 75 important විදියට දීලා තියෙනවා. Suppose if you want to handle a document or something, if you want to check something, this is going to be very handy. Right? Now, before we conclude, let's see the how this thing happens. මේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ මේක පේනවනේ. මේක තියෙනවා issuing bank. Issuing bank will open the LC and issue the LC, advise the LC to the advising or confirming bank in the other country. Number one. Then that simultaneously, number 2, on the same day, they will send the reimbursement authorization to the reimbursing bank. They will send the reimbursement authorization to the reimbursing bank. Reimbursing bank in New York. Right? Issuing bank, People's Bank. මේක ටක් ගාලා ඇඳගත්තොත් උගන්ට පෑනකින් කොලේක එතනින් වල බුරුට දාගන්න පුළුවන් එක්සැම්පල්ස් එතන හොඳට මතකයි. Issuing bank, People's Bank. Advising bank, advising confirming bank, SCB Dubai. Reimbursing bank, SCB New York. Right? Then once they present the documents, presentation of documents, they send it to the issuing bank. They send it to the issuing bank. And immediately, number 4, advising bank will claim reimbursement from the reimbursing bank. If the well, now the reimbursing bank, they have already got the reimbursement authorization from the issuing bank, and now they are claiming money. A claim has been received. They are not checking documents or anything, right? On demand, they'll pay. They only check whether the LC number is correct. They are not bothered about even the expiry date. Only the LC number. If the LC number is reimbursement authorization amount, they will pay. Payment will be done to the confirming bank or advising bank. Number 5. Right? ඔන්න ඔය ටික තමයි අපි වෙන්නේ. ඔය ටික තමයි උතනින් වෙන්නේ. Right. Article 1 ඉතින් ඔයගොල්ලෝ පොඩ්ඩක් කියවන්න. කියවට වැඩි නෑ. මොකද URL 75 මොන හරි එකක් ආවොත් ඔයගන්ට උත්තර ලියා ගන්න පුළුවන් වෙනවා. Application of definitions තියෙනවා. Right? What is a just like a UCP 600. You get Article 2 එකේ definitions නේ. මේකෙත් ඒ වගේ Article 2 එකේ definitions. Right? What is a issuing bank? What is a reimbursing bank? What is a reimbursement authority? Very important. I mean, definitions, one short questions in the bullet. What do you mean by reimbursing bank? What do you mean by reimbursement authorization? All are there. All these things we have discussed. So I have the prerogative of asking questions, right? Ive uttaram ithana thiyena. Reimbursement authorization. What do you mean by reimbursement undertaking? What do you mean by reimbursement undertaking? So when the reimbursing bank receives the reimbursement authorization, reimbursement undertaking means a separate irrevocable undertaking to the reimbursing bank issued upon the authorization of the issuing bank. The claiming bank name in the reimbursement. Then reimbursement undertaking and then number 2 hour reimbursement authorization. Then the reimbursing bank will give a reimbursement undertaking to the claiming bank. Claiming bank is the advising or confirming bank. Finish. Right? Undertaking. ඒ වගේ ඔක්කොම ටික මේ ටික කියවලා බලන්න. Reimbursement authorization versus responsibility of the issuing bank. Make Article 13 එකක් තියෙනවා for providing the information required in these rules in both the reimbursement authorization and the credit. or any consequences, issuing bank is responsible. If the reimbursing bank doesn't pay, issuing bank cannot wash their hands. They are responsible. Right? මේ ටික බලන්න මම එකක් කියන්න ඕන මේ expiry of a reimbursement authorization. Expiry of a reimbursement authorization. There's no expiry of reimbursement authorization. The reimbursement authorization should not be subject to an expiry date or latest date for presentation of a claim, except as indicated in Article 9. Normally, we should not give. Even Article 13 also mentioned the same thing. That's important. Processing under level, processing reimbursement claim. A reimbursement bank reimbursing bank shall have a maximum of 3 banking days following the day of receipt of the reimbursement claim to process a claim. Maximum of 3 banking days. For us to check the documents, we have maximum of 5 banking days. To do the payment, they have only 3 banking days. Right? Okay. If you have any questions on URR 725, please ask me. Please ask me. These are the questions. Right. නැත්තම් අර කංකම් බූරු කරන්න වගේ දුවලා ගිහිල්ලා URC 522 එක අරගෙන ආලා වාඩියෙන් ටක් ගාලා විනාඩි 2යි දැන් විනාශ කරන්න උනා බ්‍රේක් එකට කලින් අපිට පටන් ගන්න පුළුවන්. රෙඩිද ඔයගොල්ලෝ? රෙඩි නම් කියන්න මම පටන් ගන්න. Ready there?
Oh, sir.
Okay. Very good. හොඳලමයි ටිකක්. මම මේ කරන්නේ ඔයගන්ට questions දෙකක් එනවා. උගල past papers පිළිවෙල නම් ඇති දන්නවා. එකක් එනවා URC එකක් එනවා UCP. උදේරාවොත් කොහොමද කරගන්නේ කියන එක. මට දැන් ඕනේ ඔයගලන්ව ළමයිව exam එකෙන් pass කරවගන්න. pass කර Again, we'll have to quickly go through these articles, at least some important articles. Right? That's a revision. So today we are revising URC. Today we are revising URC 522. Once again, now again we are revising. And I have asked you to read මතකනේ මම කියවනේ දවසට articles දෙක ගන්න කියවන්න කියවගෙන යන්නේ කියලා. මට 100% sure COVID නෙමෙයි COVID ගේ තාත්තාවත් ඕගොල්ලන් නම් කියවන්නේ නැහැ. ගෙදර නිකන් හිටියත් පොඩි තවදින් දක් ගහනවා මිසක් ඕක කියවන්නේ නැහැ. ඉතින් මොනව කරන්නද? බලමු අපි.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Does the advising that do they have to check the documents discrepancies?
Does the advising bank check the documents?
Yeah, documents and its discrepancies. Do they have to check it?
No. Advising bank, yes and no. Yes and no. No, get a banning. Very. Yes and no. Why I say yes and no? If the advising bank is the nominated bank or negotiating bank, yes. The advising bank is only advising the LC, and the LC, there's a clause to say available with any bank, then any bank will negotiate the documents. Then they will check the documents. You got it? Yes and no. If the advising bank is the nominated bank, then they will check the documents.
That's mean the
Price කරද්දී අපි දානවා එක banks.
yeah. So that's mean the nominated
අපි
bank also have the irrevocable responsibility.
Pardon පුතේ?
That's mean the nominating bank also have
didn't get
the
your-
yeah. That's mean irrevocable
yeah.
bank also has the nominating bank also have the irrevocable responsibility.
They don't have irrevocable responsibility. If we have nominated a bank to negotiate a document, if the nominated bank doesn't want to negotiate, we are not going to negotiate the documents. They will say. Now, for example, the customer is number one, it's a well-known drug dealer. Right? So in a scenario like that, the nominated bank doesn't want to get involved into this jargon. So they are not willing to do this. They will say, no, sorry. They don't have any irrevocable undertaking. They have the right to say yes or no. But all the banks, they need business. But before doing anything, even the banks, don't make this mistake. Don't be greedy. Have I answered your question?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. Any other questions? Right. එවන අපි දැන් මේකට යමු. URC 522 key concepts ටික ටක් ගාලා මේ කරගමු. මේව මම කතා කරන්න යන්නේ නැහැ. Right. දැන් පෙරලා ගන්න ආටිකල් 1 එකට මේ ඉක්මනට ඉවර කරගන්න බලන්නේ. හැබැයි ඔයගොල්ලන්ට දැන් questions තියෙනවා නම් ටක් ගාලා මගෙන් අහගන්න. මගෙන් අහන්න questions මොනවද තියෙනවා. චුට්ටක් ඉන්න බලන්න මාත් ගන්න මගේ ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ post graduate past papers මිටියක් අරගෙන ඒකේ questions උත් අහන්න ඒ අතරේ. හැබැයි මම දෙන්න ඉන්න questions උත් අහෙත් දන්නේ නැහැ. මොන්නේ. බලමු. මේක ඉවර කරලා ඉවරලා මම ඔයගොල්ලොත් එක්ක තව questions ටිකක් discuss කරලා බලන්න වෙනම. Article 1. Article 1 outlines that the rules will apply when incorporated into text of collection instructions. Sub-article 1B clearly indicates that the banks have no obligations to handle a collection. Very important. Right? Sub-article 1B, very important. It says that the bank have no obligations to handle a collection. Then Article 1C also, just read it. If a bank elects for any reasons not to handle a collection or any related instructions received by it, it must advise the party from whom it receives the collection or the instructions by telecommunication. If you are not willing to handle the thing, immediately you have to go back. In simple, number Article 1B, it says Article 1 you have to incorporate into the text that in the collection instruction this is subject to URC 522. If it is not there, if the word if it is not subject, this is subject to URC 522 collection order form then what is the situation? In a scenario like that, what the collecting bank can do? What action? Tell me. Always it has to be there. If it is not there, then can the URC 522 apply for that collection? Please talk. Don't waste your time. If you are wasting your time, if you take time, that means I will not be able to finish it. Then you will be at the receiving end. Not me, huh? ඒකෙන්ද මම ප්‍රශ්නේ අහපු ගමන් ටට්ටක් ගාලා උත්තර දෙන්න. මේ යන්නේ අන්තිම පන්ති දෙක. එතකොට ඉතින් තව no excuses, right? Are you obliged to do it?
No.
As per
Take it
Article
as a
1.
discrepant. Take it as a discrepant.
Take it as a
Discrepant and inform to the issuing bank.
මට ඒක හරියට ඇහුනේ නෑ පුතේ වගේ කියන එක.
Yeah. Take it as a discrepant and inform to the issuing bank.
Take it as a discrepant. Discrepancy කියන වචනවත් පාවිච්චි කරන්න එපා. උත්තර ලියනකොට discrepancy කියන වචන පාවිච්චි කරන්න එපා. Discrepancy එන්නේ LC වල විතරමයි. මේකට discrepancy එකක් එන්නේ. Discrepancy කියන්නේ පුතේ when you check certain document against the laid down procedures and conditions, then if there's any discrepancy, there's a discrepancy. Right? Make it only thing, it is not mentioned. If it is not mentioned, the action is then the collection will be subject to the country law. The collection will be subject to the country law, not subject to the URC 522. Right? But anyway, as a prudent bank, we had to go back to the remitting bank and inform them. Then they will do the corrections, right? Country law. Then Article 2. Article 2 defines the meaning of collection. ඔයගොල්ලෝ පේනව නේද මේ අකුරු ටික? මේ අකුරු පේනව නේද?
Yes.
Right. Article 2 defines the meaning of collection and outlines the concept of financial and commercial documents. Make it in Article 2A, what do you mean by collection? Then what is a document means financial documents. What is commercial documents? Okay, one. Right? Make outline. Please note that definitions clearly that collection covered by these rules are those that are handled by banks. Right? Then Article 3 lists the parties involved. Who are the parties involved? Although 5 are mentioned, there may be often only be 4 parties involved because there may or may not be a separate presenting bank. Right? But presenting bank, collecting bank, and the presenting bank is the same. So Article 3, what are the parties to a documentary collection? Principal,
Remitting bank, collecting bank, presenting bank.
Principal, remitting bank, collecting bank, presenting bank. Right? Right. Article 4, whenever documents are sent on a collection basis, they are to be accompanied by a collection instructions as stated in Article 4. When the documents are sent on a collection basis, they are to be accompanied by a collection instructions. Form collection instruction form the customer then the bank will do the needful. They also prepare their own collection order form and they will send it to the they will send it to the what do you call this collecting bank. Remitting bank will send it to the collecting bank. Right? Remitting bank is the one who is preparing the collection order. Right? Based on the collection order given to them by the customer. A customer at the bank format which I have given to you. A specimen right? This is in essence a schedule outlining full instructions. For example, terms and conditions that are to apply to the collection. If a bank is willing to handle the collection instructions, it must fully comply with these instructions. Right? So if the collecting bank is willing to handle the collection, then they have to tell that they are willing to handle the collection instructions. They must fully comply with these instructions. Right? Okay. A collection order form Article 4 Latina Chola Balan. Article 5. Article 5 describe the presentation as the act of a presenting bank making documents available to the drawee. Article 5. Article 5 presentation. Right? They describe the presentation as the act of a presenting bank making documents available to the drawee. The presenting bank, when the collecting bank receives the set of documents, then they will give it to the presenting bank. But in most cases, that's what we said, 95% of the time, presenting bank and the collecting bank are one and same. Right? So they are the people who will present the documents to the drawee or the importer. Right? Make it, Article 5B, the collection instruction should not mention promptly, immediate, first. Evage words they should not use. There's no meaning for that. For me, the prompt means immediately now. prompt. For you all guys, my entire staff, over 100 students listening to me and participating now. For you, prompt is, what do you mean by prompt? Answer promptly. Will answer. At least you need the sir or me to tell you several times. Then you take your own time. Then my blood pressure will go up. I will start shouting, losing my temper. Then somebody will say something. That is your prompt. That is your prompt. CM prompt එක ඒක තමයි. හරිද? right නෑ මම ඒකේ කිසිම වෙනසක් දකින්නේ නෑ. ඔහුගේ class 12 දී දැක්ක එකම prompt එක අන්න ඒක. That is why we should not use these words prompt. මාත් මෝඩකමට කියන immediately කියන්නේ කියලා. But I am teaching you of URC 522 UCP 600 කීම මම කියනවා ඒවා කීලම තියෙනවා. There's no meaning for those words කියලා. But we are using. Right? ඔයිට වඩා නම් හොඳ උදාහරණයක් දෙන්න බෑ. හොඳම උදාහරණය ඔයගලන්ගේම අපුට අත්තිලා බලන්න. සර් කියන්නේ ඇත්තද බොරුද මගේ prompt එක මොකක්ද කියලා. මගේ prompt එක සර්වර් තරහ ගස්සලා ඔක්කොම කරලා විනාඩි 5කට විතර පස්සේ මට හිතෙන වෙලාවට කියන එක තමයි prompt කියන්නේ. So that is why they say Article 5B expressions such as first, prompt, immediate, and the like should not be used in connection with the presentations or reference. Right? Then nේද උදාහරණේ. ඊටට උදාහරණයක් ගන්න බෑ ඕගොල්ලන්ගෙම. Article 6 site acceptance, that is, as outlined in Article 6, the documents payable at site, a presenting bank must make payments without delay. Without delay in the sense, immediately. If the collection is payable at a future date, then the presenting bank must obtain acceptance without delay and make presentations to the accepted draft to the drawee not later than the maturity date. Right? What are the, give me another two similar names for payable at site under collection. DP. Payable at a future date?
DA.
Huh?
DA.
DA. Then I'm taking a prompt. Right. Article 7. Article 7 and 8. Okay. Right? Medical. Article 7 and 8. URC 522 10-7. I'll be back at 10:17. Article 7. Article 7 addresses the release of commercial documents. Right? If commercial documents are to be delivered against payment, a collection instruction is not to include a draft. Very important. Right? You don't have to include a draft. The draft is, when it comes to a DA, documents against acceptance, then the drawee has to accept the draft. That is why we need a draft. Right? So if you received a set of documents, collection documents, without a draft and asking you to pay site, pay them. Finish it off. Right? You don't, a draft is not a must. But if it is a DA, then the draft is a must. In the event that a collection instruction nevertheless includes a draft payable at a future date, there should be an indication as to whether the commercial documents are to be released against payment or acceptance. Another one, if the collection instruction says right? Collection instruction says to pay at site. Collection instruction says pay at site. But they have included a draft for maturing future date. Users draft. Draft will be matured on 31st December. Which one you take? Which one you take? Which one you take? The collection instruction says to pay, to release against payment, But there is a draft to be paid on a future date. What action you are going to take? Napogia Oglange promptly get it.
That considered as a DP payment.
We have to consider as a
DP payment.
DP payment. Very good. Answer.
It's Viraj.
What's your name? Huh?
Viraj.
Viraj. Thank you, Viraj. Keep it up. Right? We have to consider as a DP payment. Okay? Whenever there's a doubt regarding the payment, we have to pay at site. Right? Are badu kununat apita karanda deyanne naha. Article 8. Article 8 එකේ දෙන්නේ creation of documents. Right? As expounded upon in Article 8, it can on occasions be the case that the remitting bank instruct either the collecting bank or the drawee to create its own documents. Right? Give me 1 minute. Yeah. So it says where the remitting bank instruct that either the collecting bank or the drawee is to create documents, bill of exchange, promissory notes, trust receipt, blah, 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 that were not included in the collection. Bill of exchange, promissory notes, maybe the remitting bank is asking the collecting bank, you prepare the documents and get this thing signed by the drawee. And because the collection banks make a mistake, and because of that mistake, if the payments are getting delayed or if the payments are not forthcoming at all, then the remitting bank cannot utter a word. Because if the remitting bank wants the collecting bank to prepare any documents, to create any documents, then they have to give the specimen. These are the words, right? Otherwise, collecting bank is not responsible for anything. Article 9. Article 9 addresses the issue that has to be expected in a commercial transaction, and in order to preserve reputational profile, the banks must always act in good faith and with reasonable care. Right? That's a common rule in banking. In the event of any dispute, it would be a court that would determine whether a bank acted in such manner or not. Right? There's a famous court case, commercial bank versus Vanathavillo case. Vanathavillo company. Commercial bank versus Vanathavillo company. Regarding some gherkin, Vanathavillo කියන දන්නවනේ පුටලම් පැත්තේ. There was a gherkin farm. Gherkin farm. ඒකේ documentation වලට upset එකක් වෙලා they have filed a case. Vanathavillo company have filed a case against the commercial bank. Initially, commercial bank lost it, then they paid it, and then finally they managed some other. But otherwise, initially the court ruled out, ruled that the bank has made a mistake. Right? Whatever cases are important, they can that ruling will be given by a court. So always better to act in good faith with reasonable care. That is Article 9. Right? Article 10. Article 10. Article 10 clarifies that a bank is not concerned with the underlying goods to a transaction. Right? I think somebody is. Can you mute your phones? Can you mute your phones? Right. Okay. Article 10 clarifies that a bank is not concerned with the underlying goods to a transaction, except to the extent that such goods do not infringe any bank policy or local regulations. And as such, goods should not be delivered to a bank, and neither should a transport document indicate that the goods are consigned to or to the order of the bank, unless otherwise agreed in advance. Article 10 is a very important article. Always the examiners check your knowledge on Article 10. Therefore, read this article very carefully, and for an examiner, I can give you about 5-6 questions on Article 10. එක පැත්තට හරවලා දෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒක හින්දා Article 10 එක important. Let's go through the Article 10 quickly. I think Udeshan, you have to mute your instrument. Thank you very much. Right? Article 10A, goods should not be dispatched directly to the address of the bank, because that means, as clearly mentioned in this one slide, goods should not be consigned to the bank. In a LC transaction, goods are always consigned to a bank. Goods are always consigned to a bank. Right? Making goods should not be consigned to a bank. Right? Then, unless otherwise you have some prior approval, because the banks doesn't want to get involved in this one, because number one, the banks are not they will not undertake any payments or anything, so they don't want to get involved in these transactions unnecessarily. Right? Ekinda කරන්න එපා. Banks have no obligations to take any actions in respect of goods. Another one, Article 10B. So that means ඒකනේ මම කියන්නේ අර කිව්වේ අපි මේක collection order එකේ දානවා please if the customer doesn't pay, please clear the goods and store it in your stores කියලා දාලා ඉවරනවා. Storing and insurance, we point blankly refuse it. We point blankly refuse it. Right? We point blankly refuse it. Then, nevertheless, in the case that banks take action for the protection of the goods, right? Banks take action for the protection of the goods. ඒකත් අපි කරන්නේ නැහැ කියලා කිව්වා. අපි ක්ලියර් කරන්නේත් නැහැ, storing and insurance කරන්නේත් නැහැ. Any charges and or expenses, Article 10D, any charges and or expenses incurred by banks in connection with any action taken to protect the goods will be for the account of the party from whom they receive the collection. If there's any charges, you can claim it from the remitting bank. But when you are going to claim it from the remitting bank, it is not easy. Right? So therefore, the best thing is not to get involved in this, anything. Article 11 to 14, Article 11 to 14, that they cover disclaimers. Cover disclaimers. Right? හැම එකේම disclaimer. Disclaimer for acts of an instructed party. Then disclaimer on documents received. Disclaimer on effectiveness of documents and delays. Article 14, disclaimer on delays and lost in transit, translation, everything. So Article 11 to 15 are disclaimers. The bank will not take any responsibility at all for any acts of an instructed party, the documents received, and effectiveness of documents, and delays, lost in transit, and translation. We don't take any responsibility. Right? Article 15. Force measure. Force measure can be acts of God without our control. The banks, as would be expected, the rules include a generic article, Article 15, in respect of delays that may arise due to the occurrence of a force majeure event. That's acts of God, beyond our control. Again, the banks will not be responsible. Article 16 to 19, they focus upon various aspects of payment. Without delay, local and foreign currencies, and partial payments. Out of which, Article 16 says payment without delay. Payment without delay. Payment without delay කිව්වහම බලන්න amounts collected, Article 16. When you collect the money from a party, article when you collect the money from a party, debiting the customer, immediately you have to remit. Is it happening? Is it happening? Yes or no? Banks when you debit a customer, do you immediately remit the money to the master account of to the remitting bank? Are we doing that? Yes or no or don't know. They have no idea. Hmm? Nabo prompt එකට prompt answer එකක් කිව්වහම do your banks do that? One simple question එකක් මම අහන්නේ. Hello. Masuk dulu nih. මොකද වෙන්නේ ඔබේ? Are you doing that? Your banks? Most of the banks they do, but some banks, I know, they are delaying the payments. So, but that's what they say. Don't do that, right? Then the second one, Article 17 says payment in local currencies. In the case of documents payable in currency, in the currency of the country of the payment, right? The presenting bank must, unless otherwise instructed in the collection instruction, release the documents to the drawee against the payment in local currency, only if such currency is immediately available for disposal in the manner specified in the collection instructions. What do you mean by that? Please read that and tell me what do you mean by that? And is it happening now under this present scarcity of dollars? Read it. Because I am going to ask a practical question. What do you mean by that? Article 17 says, now you have to think that you are a customer, right? You are a customer. A very important situation, right? I want to ask this question from you. You all should, or you all are either managers or senior people, right? But I already answered. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, fine. This is something like this. There is a document for US dollars 10,000. US dollars, 10,000, 100,000. US dollars 100,000. There's a collection document. Now, customer is willing to pay DP document. Customer is willing to pay money. Customer is willing to pay money. So you collect the money in local rupees or in foreign currency from the customer. Please ask. Please answer.
Local currency.
Local currency. They will pay the money in local currency. Then you will release the documents to the customer. Right? But when you are going to do the payment, your treasury says you don't have dollars in the bank. So you can't do the payment. Right? This is what they say under Article 17, payments in local currencies. When you collect money in local currencies, you have to ensure that you are in a position to convert it immediately and pay. You are in a position to convert it immediately and pay. Right? ඒක බැරි වුණා නම් මොකද කරන්නේ? අපි ඩොකියුමන්ට්ස් එක දෙන්න හොඳ නැහැ. බැංක්ස් වලත් ඔය කරන එක වැරද්දක්. හරිද? මේක අපි අතින් වෙන වැරද්දක්. Then what is going to happen is unless otherwise the payment remitting of the money is confirmed, you should not release the documents taking the money. ඒක කරන්න ඕන. ඒ කියන්නේ කස්ටමර්ස්ලා කෑ ගහන්නේ අපේ කන්ටේනර්ස් හාබර් එකේ අපිට ගන්න විදියක් නැහැ. ඒවා බොට් එක ගන්න ඕන, මේක ගෙවන්න ඕන, අපි ගෙවන්න සල්ලි තියෙනවා. මේවා ඩෙමරේජ් ගෙවනවා. කස්ටමර්ස් ළඟෙන් රුපීස් ගත්තට ඩොලර්ස් කෝ. Right? That is what these people says. Don't take the money from the customer and give the documents without remitting the money. Right? Article 18 is payment in foreign currency. In the case of documents payable in a currency other than of the country of the payment, the presenting bank must, unless otherwise instructed in the collection instructions, release the documents to the drawee against a payment in the designated foreign currency. You have to done now. Article 19 very important. Especially Article 19 is the partial payments. Article 19B is a common, very famous, popular question. Article 19B. Article 19A says, in respect of a clean collection, partial payments may be accepted if the collection instructions clearly says partial payments acceptable. Details we can give the partial payments. If not, you can. Article 19B, it says, in respect of documentary collection, partial payments will only be accepted if specifically authorized in the collection instructions. Otherwise, not acceptable. We'll have to pay the full amount. We have to pay the full amount. I will discuss one of the questions after this. It's about Article 19B apply karna answer karana. Right? Article 20 and 21 is regarding interest and charges. Interest and charges, which you have to read and understand very carefully. Interest, charges, and expenses are addressed in Article 20 and 21. How you are going to pay. Right? Article 22 stated in Article 22, the collecting or presenting banks is to ensure that the acceptance of any drafts appear to be complete and correct. Right? However, it is not responsible for determining the status of the person signing the draft. Signing authority but it has to be signed with the company seal and clearly says it is accepted to pay on such and such a date. But having said that, as per the Article 9, the bank has to act in good faith without any negligence. Because of that, we will, because of that, we will, what do you call this? Always check whether that guy is authorized to pay. ඒක අපි බැංක් වලින් අපි කරනවා ඒක. අපි බැංක් වලින් කරනවා. මේකෙත් තියෙනවා මම දෙන්නම් question එකක්. ඒ questions වලින්ම තමයි ඔයගොල්ලන්ට questions හැදෙන්නේ. එතකොට you can answer. But you have to answer those questions. I will not answer. You will have to answer. If you give me the answer, then I will fine tune it. But if you are going to keep quiet without opening your mouth, then I will ask you to do it for homework, but I will never check it. I won't be having any time for checking. Right? මේ ඉතුරු කාලෙත් කරන්නත් බෑ අපි හම් වෙන්නෙත් නෑ. ඒව කරන්න බෑ. ඔයගොල්ලෝ කතා කළොත් වැරදි උත්තරයක් කිව්වත් අන්න උත්තරේ හදලා ගන්න පුළුවන්. වැරදි උත්තරේ හරි කමක් නෑ කියන්නේ. Right? Article 23. Article 23 is promissory notes and other instruments. Promissory notes and other instruments. Right? Similarly, and according to Article 23, the collecting or presenting bank is not responsible for the genuineness of the signatures that appears on a promissory note or other form of payment instruments that forms part of the collection instructions, or that has been issued as a result of a request in the collection instructions for the drawee or collecting or presenting bank to create a specific document. Even though the presenting or collecting bank has created the document and it has been accepted by the drawee, the banks won't take responsibility of the genuineness of the signatures. Right? But as a prudent bank, we check. Having said that, Article 24 clarifies the protest. This I have discussed with you in detail. Right? And Article 25, case of need. Right? Article 24, protest means clarifies that collection instructions should always provide guidance as to the procedure to be followed in the event of protest or similar legal procedure. Right? For non-payment or non-acceptance. If there's a non-payment or non-acceptance, what the presenting or collecting bank should do. According to the URC 522, Article 24, the collecting bank can file a case. We call it protesting. Right? If no guidance is provided, then the banks have no responsibility to pursue such redress. Having said that, this is a very lengthy course of action which will incur a big amount. Right? So therefore, should not look for it. Protesting, we will not undertake any protesting. Article 25 is a case of need. On occasion, a collection instructions will mention an entity that can be contacted in case of need. If something happens, then please contact this particular one. Article 25 highlights that the instruction should fully define the scope and responsibility of such party. Right? But only thing is, if they have mentioned a case of need, then they have to give the powers of the case of need. Otherwise, we don't undertake the instructions of case of need if they have not been given the powers. Specifically, collection order loan. Article 26 provides guidelines as to the content and the application of a number of advices. How we are going to do it, and what they say is, if the documents are not being paid or not being collected by the drawee, normally we wait for 60 days, and after that we can return the documents back to the remitter. And close our files, right? Sometimes the banks will start informing the collecting remitting bank only after 6 days. No. My advice to everybody is, after 14 days, we had to start the follow-up work. After 14 days, we have to start the follow-up work. Go on, checking, and then we'll see by 60th day, we have sent about 4 or 5 reminders. So easily, then we can return the documents. If you start the follow-up after 60th day, then it will take another 2 months to return the documents. Right? Within 14 days, start sending the first reminder. Okay. Any questions on Article 1 to 26? Any questions on Article 1 to 26? Now I'm going to discuss a very, very important thing to discuss. URC 522 questions. You can be assured for the exam, you will get at least 1 or 2 from what I'm going to discuss now. Right? So it is up to you to promptly answer. And then එහෙම වුණොත් ඔයගන්ට දිනන්න පුළුවන්, නැත්නම් ඉතින් පරදින්නම තමයි වෙන්නේ. Can you see this one?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can you see this?
Yes, sir.
You can see the presentation, right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Right. Uniform rules for collection. Right. We know uniform rules for collection, a set of uniform rules governing the operations of the collection. So Latina contains 26 articles, also known as URC 522. Questions for them. Right. When the answer go get. What do you do, Veda?
Principal, remitting bank,
Remitting bank, collecting bank, drawing. Principal, committing bank, collecting bank, presenting bank.
What is P? Exporter,
Principal,
Principal.
principal, then
Principal.
remitting,
Remitting bank,
Remitting
remitting
bank.
bank,
Collecting
collecting
bank.
bank,
and drawing.
drawing,
Drawing.
draw,
Drawing.
drawer or
Drawing.
drawee?
drawing.
Drawing.
Drawee. හරි හරි ඔච්චර වර්ණ ගන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. මේ වගේ ක්වෙස්චන් එකක් නම් දෙන්නේ මම ආස ඇති. මට කියන්න බෑ මේකේ තියෙන්නේ URC findable to which article?
Article 3.
3.
Article
Article 3.
3. Very good. Article 3. Very good. 3A. Can you differentiate between a claim collection and a documentary collection? Can you differentiate between a claim collection and a documentary collection? What is the article?
Claim collection, financial document.
Without commercial documents, clean collection.
Yes. With clean collection means collection of financial documents. Financial documents not accompanied by commercial documents. Right? Only the financial documents. Documentary collection means
Financial document.
Financial documents accompanied by commercial documents or commercial documents not accompanied by financial documents.
commercial documents not accompanied by financial documents. What are the articles?
Article 4.
Number 2. Number
Article 4, Article 2, Article 2C and
Article 2.
Article 2B and D. Right? Article 2C is clean collection, 2D is documentary collection. Somebody mentioned under documentary collection, commercial documents not accompanied by financial documents. Can you give me an example? Make up a kata kala man podu kata. Under DP, under DP, financial document is not a must. Draft draft is a financial document. Commercial documents is the payment. That is documentary collection. Right? Right. Read this and give me the answer. You received an import DP bill for US dollars 50,000. මේ වගේම තමයි ගන්න ක්වෙස්චන්ස් එන්නේ. මේකේදී මම වෙන නම් දාලා හදලා ගන්නවා. ජයසෝම ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රීස් අරෝමේ කියලා තමයි දාලා ගන්න. එකම දේ තමයි උත්තරේ එන්නේ. You receive an import DP bill for US dollars 50,000. Your customer XYZ company informs you that they have cash flow problem. And would like to pay US dollars 25,000 first, and the balance will be paid after the goods have been sold. What is your position under URC 522? And what would be your advice in this case? Now first tell me what is the article which will apply to this one.
Article 9.
Article 16.
Article 19.
Article 19. 19 මොකද? Article 19 the back. Article 19 B. Sub-article B. Article 19 sub-article B. මං කියන්නේ ඔයාලට question එකක් එයි කියලා. මේ question එක හරි famous. BABF එකේ DITK උනත් postgraduate උනත් උගරක් වල 10 minutes ලා මේ අහන question එක. right? Article 19B. As per the Article 19B, is the partial payments are allowed? If it is not mentioned in the collection order, it is not allowed. Have they mentioned in the collection order? According to the question given, you can see it has been mentioned in the collection order. So we'll have to treat it as not mentioned in the collection order. Right? What is your position under URC 522? Can we do this? How we are going to answer this question? Exam එකේදී කොහොමද ඔයගොල්ලෝ මේක answer කරන්නේ මේ වගේ question එක? The first part,
Inform the remitting bank of the payment method.
no. හරි පුතේ මට ඉස්ලාම කියන්න මන්න. What is your position under URC 522? When you are answering a question of this nature, how you should answer? එකත් ඉගෙන ගන්න බෑ. නැත්නම් ඔයගොල්ලෝ කරන්නේ හොදෝද මඩේ දාන එක. ඒක ලකුණු හම්බෙන්නේ නැහැ. You have to say, as per the Article 19B, as per the Article 19B of URC 522, ඕනනම් ලියා ගන්න ටට්ටක් ගාලා මේවට answers, right? ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඕනනම් case study number එක දාලා මේක කරගන්න. මේක upload කරලා නැහැනේ. මට ඕනනම් upload කරන්න පුළුවන්. නැත්නම් ඉතින් ඔයගොල්ලෝ මතක තියාගන්න පුළුවන්. Right? As per the Article 19B of the URC 522, if the partial payments has not been allowed in the collection order, then this is not possible. You have to remit. If you are going to release the documents, you have to remit the entire money of $50,000. Okay, right. What would be your advice in this case? මොකක්ද ඔයාලට දෙන්න පුළුවන් advice එක? මේ bits and pieces අනම් partial payments කරන්න බෑ අපිට. Either 50 or not. Either full 50 or not. Right? Now, what would be your advice in this case? What action you can take?
Keep the documents until pay the full amount.
මගේ අම්මෝ ගෙනල්ලා තියෙන බොම්බයි ලුණු උණු වෙනවා.
Short term facility.
මොකක්ද දෙන්න අපි we can give them short term loan or overdraft facility of $25, equivalent of $25,000, and pay the full amount and remit the full amount and collect the money later. Then තේරෙනවද? අන්න එහෙම තමයි කරන්න ඕනේ. Right? That should be the answer. ඒ විදිහට කැලේ answer කරන්න. Any questions?
Can't we inform the remitting bank of the partial payments and get the agreement from the exporter and do it?
Yeah. That also can. Right? Then you can say, as a second option, you can inform the remitting and to get the what do you call this? Get the consent of the exporter to accept partial payments. හැබැයි පුතා ඔයාගේ ඔයා කියපු එකට මම කෙලිම උත්තරේ කියන්නම්. right? එහෙමනම් අපි මේ කීකේ ඉන්න ඕනේ. There will be a dialogue between the buyer and the seller. Before that, right? Immediately the buyer will ask the seller, මචං පොඩි අප්සෙට් එකක් මම මේ පරක්කු වෙනවා මම මේක දෙපාරකට එවන්නද. Then he said, okay, no problem. Then I will inform the bank. ඔය ටික පටන් ගන්නකොට බැංක් එකකින් ඇවිල්ලත් ඉවරයි උත්තරේ. right? එහෙම වෙන්නේ නැහැ. එහෙම වෙච්ච නැතිනම් මේ යන්නේ. right? මට මම කියන එක තේරෙනවද ඔයගන්ට? අපි හිතනවා විදිය තමයි හිතනවා විදියේ පොඩි වෙනසක් තියෙනවා. අපිට ඕන නම් කෙලිම ඒ දෙන්න කතා කරලා මෙලහට ඉවරයි වැඩේ. කරන්න බැරි හින්දා තමයි අරයටත් අර ජෝසප් ස්ටාලින්ට වගේ මස් රාත්තලම ඕන. 50ම ඕන. ඊට අඩුවෙන් 25 බෑ. ඒක වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. right? okay. ඒක කරන්න බෑ. උදේට කියවල බලලා උත්තර දෙන්න බෑ. මට ආටිකල් එක ඕන, ආටිකල් එකේ සබ් ආටිකල් එක ඕන ඔක්කොම ඕන. What is the answer? Collection instruction states that interest is to be collected at 15% per annum. Normally, when we collect interest, it will be 360-day basis, right? US dollars then 360 days. GBP then 365 days. That, don't ask me why. That's a normal international standard. In respect of any delay in payment after first presentation. 4 weeks after the first presentation, drawee offers the principal amount, but refuses to pay any interest. Collecting bank remits the principal amount, less charges only. Remitting bank replies demanding that the interest is also remitted. Is remitting bank correct to claim interest? What does URC 522 say on that matter? What is the article?
20.
Madhi, මට ඕන sub article and sub article.
20C.
Huh?
Sub C.
20C.
20C.
Wrong. 20C
20A. 20A.
20A. 20A. 20A is the correct. Then there none of the where is the 20A? Read the right? 20A. Have they mentioned that do not waive කියලා කොහෙවත් තිබුණේ නැහැනේ. We have not mentioned, right? So if the collection instruction specifies that interest is to be collected and the drawee refused to pay such interest, මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ මේක දීලා තියෙනවා. The presenting bank may deliver the documents against payment or acceptance or on other terms and conditions as the case may be without collecting such interest. Without collecting such interest. Unless sub-article 20C applies. Unless sub-article 20C. Sub-article 20C says where the collection instructions express states that interest may not be waived. Interest may not be waived. Then, without the interest, you can't release the documents. You have to collect the interest. That's the answer. Make a happy point. Element 20C කියලා කිව්වොත් answer එකට උත්තරේ එන්නේ බිඳුවයි. But right, if you say as per Article 20, as per Article 20 කියලා ඊළඟ අර 20A වල දේ උත්තරේ ලියලා තිබුණොත් අකුණු දෙක විතරක් අරින් හම්බෙයි. 20A කියලා තිබුණා ලකුණු පහම හම්බෙනවා. right? උගල මේක සමහර 20A එක යන්නේ. එතකොට is remitting bank correct to claim interest? Yes or no? Can remitting bank, are they correct? Are they doing the correct thing? Remitting bank claiming the interest.
Yes.
Can they claim? Read the Article 20A. Can they claim? Come on. දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ ගාව මේවා තියාගෙන අපි මේ මගේ දැන් කට අරන් බලන් ඉන්නේ. මගේ උත්තරයක් එනකන්. අතේ තියෙනවා දැන් මේ ආටිකල්ස් එක අතේ තියාගෙන ඉන්නේ. Is remitting bank correct to claim interest? Yes or no?
No.
No. ඒක කියන එක හයියෙන් කියන්නකො පුතේ මට wasting time නේ. Right? No. They can't claim. They can't claim interest because they have not mentioned interest cannot be waived. Kela. If they have mentioned interest cannot be waived, they have the right to claim interest. Right? Article 20A එක අරගෙන මේක answer කරන්න ඕන. About this one. You have sent out a DA 30-day bill for your export customer to the collecting bank. Right? You have received a due date advice from the collecting bank. මේක අරලා දැන් due date advice එකත් ඇවිල්ලා කියන මේ 30 days DA bill එක ගන්න customer has accepted the bill. Right. Now the bank has sent the due date advice also. On due date, collecting bank send you an advice of fate. Advice of fate okay, no? Due date. It says the director of import advice, director of import customer, yeah? Director of import advice that the acceptance was signed by a clerk who has no authority to sign on the behalf of the importer, and therefore now the importer refused to pay. Importer refused to pay. Okay. Is the importer correct? Can they refuse? Is the importer correct? Can refuse. Saying that මේ අසංගල තියෙන්නේ ක්ලාක් කෙනෙක් කියලා. What is the article? Huh?
Article 22.
What is the article?
Article 9.
Article 20. අනේ පුතේ තියාගෙන. Article 9 නෙමෙයි. Article 22. එක්කෙනෙක්ව Article 22 කියලා. Article 22 is the correct one. Article 22 is the correct one. One අංකල Article 22 කියවලා මේකට answer කරන්න බෑ. Is the importer correct?
Yes.
ඒ කියන්නේ they can refuse.
They can't refuse.
Can't refuse.
අනේ පුතේ කියන එක්ක සිංහලෙන් හරි කමන්නේ නැහැ.
Importer cannot refuse the payment.
ඒක වයිලා කියනවා ඕගොල්ලෝ.
Importer cannot refuse the payment.
Importer cannot refuse the payment as per URC
Article-
522 Article 22. ඒක එහෙම ලියන්න. ඔය කීක බයිලා කියන්න එපා. මමවත් එපා වෙන අන්තිමට ඔයගොල්ලොත් එක්ක මේව ඩිස්කස් කරන්න එක. මම අපරාධේ මේව දෙනවා කියන්නේ I am giving you the questions, the possible questions that might come in the exam. Why should I? If you are not bothered, why should I? If you don't want to waste your brain, if you don't want to use your brain, if you want only me to waste my brain, why should I? ඊට පස්සේ මම ගෙලියව ප්‍රශ්නෙම දුන්නාම එක්සෑම් එකේදී ප්‍රශ්න දෙන්නම් ඔබන්ට ඕන එකක් කරගන්නයි කියලා. මට තියෙන ලකුණු දාන්න විතරයි. මම මේ හොඳ කරන්න ගිහිල්ලා ඉන්නේ නැත්නම් මේ ලෝකේ හොඳ කළාම වැඩක් නැත්තේ ඒකයි. හරිද ඒ කියන්නේ? දැන් මේ අනික මේ මෝඩයෝ නෙමෙයි. මේක අපි මේ ඉන්නේ සීනියර් බැංකර්ස්ලා. එක්කෙනෙක්වත් නැහැ මේතන. BABF පාස් නැති DBF පාස් නැති එක්කෙනෙක්වත් නැහැ. එහෙම නැත්නම් මේකට සිත් කරන්න දෙන්නේ නැහැ. එහෙම නැහැ. දෙන්න එකම දේ තියෙන්නේ you have to be an executive in your respective bank. නිකම් ඊයේ පෙරේද ජොයින් වෙච්ච ක්ලාක් කෙනෙක්ට post graduate කරන්න දෙන්නේ නැහැ අපි. මේ ඔක්කොම ඉන්නේ මුලේ තියෙන කට්ටිය. Experienced bankers. Behave like seniors. Behave like matured people. I can hear lot of children are shouting. ඔය ඔක්කොම එනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ ළමයි ඉන්න අම්මලා තාත්තලා. දිය නෙමෙයිනේ. දැන් හරි answer එකක් දෙන්න. Is the importer correct?
No.
No. Right? Because as per Article 22, they are not correct. The collecting bank doesn't have any obligations to check the correctness of the genuineness of the signature. Right? Were errors made by collecting bank? Were errors made by collecting bank? What uttare?
Yes.
Were errors made by the collecting bank? Yes, then can
Yes.
Yeah, what are the errors?
As per the Article 9, they have to check the signature properly with reasonable care.
Very good. Very good. Very good answer. Yes. As per the Article 22, they can escape. But as per Article 9, they should have check whether this guy is authorized to sign on behalf of the company. Very good. Right? How does the URC 522 say on the matter? What does the URC 522 say on the matter?
As per Article 22, bank is not responsible for the genuineness of signature.
I can't hear you. Can you speak
As per
louder?
Article 22,
Yeah.
bank is not responsible for genuineness of signature.
Mhm.
So they have already accepted the payments and released the documents. So they are obliged to pay the.
Okay, but then you have to continue saying, but however, as a prudent bank, they should have checked this as per Article 9K to be in good faith. Actually, they can't be responsibility ganni. How about if the collection instruction includes protest for non-payment? Protest for non-payment. What course of action would you recommend? What course of action would you recommend? They may make it in a collection instructions protest for non-payment. So the remitting bank is saying we have mentioned that protest for non-payment. Now these guys are not paying. No protest. No protest. What course of action would you recommend? Here we can say as per Article 24, protesting is a cumbersome legal process. It's a cumbersome legal process. Right? So, therefore, the collecting bank can refuse protesting under the collection. Therefore, the collecting bank can refuse protesting under the collection order. Right? Right. Make Yanaman. You receive a phone call from a cargo handling company at the airport. A shipment of perishable goods. Perishable goods has arrived and consigned to HSBC, Ho Chi Minh City. That means the goods have been consigned to the bank. Your customer, your valuable customer, may customer customer connect. Your valuable customer, ABC Company Limited, informs you that they have been expecting the goods and provides you with a pro forma invoice as evidence. ABC Company Limited say the goods are urgently required. The documents evident. They have not received the documents. The ABC Company says the goods are urgently required because it's a perishable item. Right? What course of action will you recommend? Are there any risk involved? දැන් මේක මොකක්ද ඇවිල්ලා නැත්තේ මේ
As per Article 10, goods cannot be
මොකක්ද අපි බෑන්ක්
consigned
කරන්න
to
පුළුවන්
bank.
උදව් කරන්න පුළුවන් what course of action you will recommend
As per Article 10, goods cannot be consigned to bank.
එහෙම කියන්න හරි එහෙම කරන්න බෑ ඒ කියන්නේ මම දාලා තියෙන්නේ your valuable customer කියලා ඔයා නිකන් ඉන්න customer කෙනෙක්ට වැඩ කරන විදිහටයි බැංක් එකේ valuable customer කරන විදිහ එකම විදිහටද කරන්නේ නෑනේ හැදි දෙකකින් බෙදන්නේ නෑ ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ හැටි හැදි දෙකකින් බෙදන්නේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ අපිත් එහෙමයි මේ නීති ඔක්කොම නවනවා හොඳ කස්ටමර්ට ඒ කියන්නේ මේ ආදිනේ valuable customer කියන So what course of action will you recommend?
As per Article 10, we
It's
clear the
simple.
documents.
Article 10, we clear the documents.
No, as per
The
Article
bank,
10, we create the documents on behalf of the exporter.
no. How can we
Shipping
clear
guarantee?
the documents? How can we clear the documents? We don't have the documents now. The document we received a phone call from a cargo handling company at the airport. Shipment of perishable goods are received. Customer to them document copy invoice, perform invoice
They have to release a shipping
just see
guarantee.
you.
Shipping guarantee?
Kodupate nama? මොකක්ද දුවගේ නම? උත්තර කියන්නේ මම කියන්නේ කමන්නේ දෙන්නේ කොයි shipping guarantee කියලා.
Advance payment.
අනිත්
Advance payment.
advance payment. Advance payment guarantee කරගෙන මොනවද කරන්නද? Don't talk nonsense. What is advance payment guarantee කරගෙන මොනවද ගන්නද? මේ document නැතුවනේ මේ තියෙන්නේ. Documents නැතුව තියෙන්නේ. දෙන්නේ කොයි shipping guarantee කියලා. Shipping guarantee හරියද? හැබැයි මට පොඩ්ඩක් කියන්න බන්න මම දන්නේ මම දන්නේ නැති හින්දා ඔයගොල්ලෝ මට වඩා දන්නේ හින්දානේ shipping guarantee කියලා කිව්වේ. මේ මුදේ මොන එයාපෝට් එකටද නැව්වෙන්නේ? shipping guarantee එකක් දෙන්නේ BL එකට නේ BL එක ආවේ නැතත්. ඒතර shipping guarantee මොන එයාපෝට් එකටද නැව්වෙන්නේ කියලා කියන්න බන්නේ. මට අන්න ඒක කියන්නේ. බලන්න උත්තරේ එනකොට උත්තරේ වැරදි නැහැ. මම මේ ඇනලයිස් කරලා පේනන්නේ. නිකන් ඔහේ උත්තර ලියන වැඩක් නෑ අගුණ හම්බෙන්නේ නෑ බින්දුවයි. ඔයාලා ලියනවා හරි කියලා. නෑ බින්දුවයි. You have to use the correct. ඒකයි දෙයන්නාසේ මොලයක් දීලා දෙන්නේ. පාවිච්චි කරන්න. Shipping guarantee concept is correct. Concept is correct. ඔන්න මම දැන් දුන්නා ලොකු උදව්වක්. හැබැයි it cannot be a shipping guarantee නේද? එයාපෝට් එක නැවුවේ නෑනේ. එහෙනම් මොකද්ද අපි දෙන්න ඕනේ guarantee එක?
Standby.
Airway bill guarantee. ඒක ලියා ගන්න කොහෙද මේක? If it is an air cargo shipment, if you receive the goods without the documents, it will be airway bill guarantee. Airway bill guarantee. AWB guarantee කියලා කියන්නේ. Airway bill guarantee. There also the customer will indemnify even yonder, right? The customer will indemnify the bank. Customer will indemnify the bank that they will submit the original airway bill as soon as they received it. Right? Based on that, the bank will issue a airway bill undertaking. Right? However, in most cases, either bank has to mark the guarantee lines or keep 100% cash margin. And there will be a charge by the bank for this service. Right? Okay. දැන් තේරෙනවද කොච්චර අපි වැරදි විදිහට යනවද කියලා. shipping කරන්න කියලා දැම්මොත් එහෙම වැරදිනවා මේ එයාපෝට් එකට නැව්වෙන්නේ නැත. වචන හරියට පාවිච්චි කරන්න. This one, you received an import DA 30 days bill stating please avalize the bill of exchange. This avalization gana. The bill has been accepted. Due date advice has been sent to the remitting bank. On due date, import advised that the goods are of bad quality and refuse to pay. What is avalization? What is avalization? What is avalization? ළමයි මොකද avalization ගැන කියන්නේ මම උගන්වලා තියෙනවා උගන්ට under දෙපාරක් කළා මේක under collection උත් කළා financial options වලටත් කළා avalization means
Endorsement of a bill.
yeah ඒක එහෙම කියන්න බෑ උදේ හරියට කියන්න උත්තරය නිකන් endorsement
Guaranteeing the payment.
The bill of exchange accepted by the drawee is again guaranteed to pay on the maturity date by the collecting bank. ඒ ටික හැමම එන්න ඕන. Right? නැත්නම් ඔය guaranteed payment endorsement by payment කිව්වොත් එන්නේ half a mark කියන්නේ. මම දන්න ඔයගලන්ට ඔළුවට වැටලා තියෙනවා. හැබැයි උත්තරේ නෙමෙයි. මට ඕනේ ලකුණු 5කම උත්තරය. Right? ලකුණු 5ක උත්තරය කරනවා සම්පූර්ණයෙන් කියන්න. The drawee, when the drawee has accepted the draft to be paid on a future date, the collecting bank will also add their irrevocable undertaking. Right? So on the due date, the importer advised that the goods are of bad quality and refused to pay. Goods are on bad quality and refused to pay. Will it be a problem for the remitting bank, collecting bank? No. Whether we are not going to deal with the goods, it's not our fault. So you send an advice of fate to remitting bank. Right? The remitting bank, එතන අපි කියනවා මොකද මේ යවන්නේ advice of fate එක අපි කියනවා on due date import advice that the goods are of bad quality and refuse to pay. ඒතර ඒක අපි කියලා යවනවා remitting bank එකට. The remitting bank replied that collecting bank must pay the bill. Is it correct? How will you proceed? Is it correct? Is remitting bank is correct? They are perfectly correct. If you have avalized, you have given an undertaking, that's it. Right? Then you have to proceed. Right? You have to pay. What is the URC 522 question in terms of avalization? මොකද ආටිකල් එක? මොකද ආටිකල් එක? දැන් ආටිකල් 26ම දැන් ඩිස්කස් කරලා ඉවරුණා විතරයි. avalization ආටිකල් එක මොකද්ද? මොකද evaluation article එක? There's no such article on evaluation. There's no such article on evaluation. Right? මේ කරන්න බලන්න. Case study 6. Your bank has received a documentary collection from one of your correspondent banks abroad, drawn on one of your customers on GP term and subject to URC 522. The relative goods have been dispatched by air freight, consigned to your bank. Briefly describe the position of your bank in relation to the goods as provided in URC 522. මොකද මේ ආටිකල් එක? මොකද ආටිකල් එක?
Article 10A.
Article 10. This one, you have to answer the question by using entire Article 10. Complete answer should have Article 10 A, B, C, D, and E. Right? Okay. Case study 7. Can ban. හරියට මොන ආටිකල් and sub article.
Article 20B.
What is the article?
20B.
20B. Very good. Very good. So the remitting bank claims that the interest should have been collected up to the time of receipt of proceeds by them and should have been calculated at 10% per annum. Now the collecting bank, what they have done, they have collected interest from the date of presentation to the date of payment at 6% and remitted the money. It's a good bank. Now the remitting bank claims that interest should have been collected up to the time they receive the proceeds, and it has to be at 10%. Only then the after. What is your answer? If you are the collecting banker, what should be your answer? How you argue in the case? As per Article 20B, yes, collecting bank has done their job. Their process has been done, right? But the question never mentioned what should be the penalty rate. What should be the penalty rate? They have never mentioned. So because of that, and the period, they have not mentioned that. So collecting bank has acted in good faith without any negligence. They have collected at 6% correctly up to the time they have been paid, and they have remitted the money along with the interest. Right? If the remitting bank wants this amount at 10% and up to that time, මේක නම් කොමත් කරන්න බෑ. අපිට කියන්න බෑනේ අග්ගොන්න කවද්ද මේ ප්‍රසිද්ධ සම්බෙන්නේ කියලා. එහෙම කවදාකවත් කරන්න බෑනේ. ඒවා අපිට කරන්න බෑ. හරි. ඒක බෑ නැත්නම් ඒක කරලා දෙනවා. අටත් කියන්න බෑ.
Hello, auntie. Oh, auntie, අද ගෙදර. Oh. ඔව් auntie මගේ අර යාළුවෙකුත් අහලා බලලා තිබුණා. මම අලිට ඒ වෙලාවේ ගත්තේ නෑ ඊට පස්සේ නම් මේ කිව්වලු මේ මොනවාද අර දැන් බ්ලීඩ් වෙලා වගේනේ නිසා මොකද ටෙස්ට් එකක් කරන්න ඕනි කියලා. තාම සර් බැලුවෙත් නෑ කිව්වලු. සර් බැලුවට පස්සේ අර මේ අද හීමටොලොජිස්ට් කියලා මැඩම් කෙනෙක් ඉන්නවා කියලා අර ඔය කියන්නේ අර ඔය රුධිර ගමන අන්නේ පැත්තට ඔව් මේ එයාට දානවා කියලා තමයි කිව්වේ. එහෙම අර සර් බලලා බෝඩ් එකේ සර් බලුවේ නෑ කියලා කිව්වලු. එයා ආයෙත් හවස් බලලා කෝල් එකක් දෙන්න කිව්වා. එහෙම තමයි කිව්වේ ආන්ටි. ඔව්. තාම මොකද හරියට මේකක් නෑ වගේ හැබැයි එතන නේද ආන්ටි. ඔව් දැන් අර හේ ප්‍රයිවට් නවත්තන්නත් එපා කිව්ව හින්දා ඉතින් ඒක කරන් ගියේ නේද ආන්ටි.
Malika, please mute your phone.
දැන් ඔය බෝඩ් වලට වගේ නම් ඇන්ටි ඔය ඇතුලේ තමයි එන්නේ. ඒකට shift එකට එන්නේ.
Malika, please mute your phone.
ඉතින් ඔය එතන වැඩ
Malika,
කරනවා.
please. Malika, mute your phone, please. නියම් මේ ඇන්ටික කේස් එක අපිට වැඩක් නෑ නේද පුතේ? Right. Finish? What is the answer? Based on?
Article 25.
Article 25. Very good. Case of need. Now, based on the answer, as per Article 25 of URC 522, now continue. පස්සේ අන්තිමට කියන්න එපා මේ එදා මං එච්චර මහන්සුන්නේ නැහැ. ඒ ප්‍රශ්නමනේ දීලා තියෙන්නේ කියලා. If you have received, but I can't go there, you can adapt more.
Correction instruction should clearly indicate the powers of case of need.
Very good, very good. Collection instruction should clearly give the powers of the case of need. Otherwise, we will just inform the case of need, but we will not take any authority from them. Right? Okay. This one. මේක අපි කතා කළා උදේ. පැය දෙකකට කලින් කතා කළා. දැන් ක්වෙස්චන් එක. The collection instructions do not state it is subject to URC 522. State with reasons what action you would take. What is it? ඉක්මනට ගියොත් මට මේ UCP questions ටිකත් කරන්න පුළුවන් උගලත් එක්ක. ඒ ටිකක් කරගන්න හම්බුනොත් උගලන්ට හොඳයි. ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඉක්මනට ආන්සර් කළොත් මට ඉක්මනට යන්න පුළුවන්. ඒකට නැත්නම් මම ඔය බල ඉන්නවා. ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ prompt answer එක කෙනක. If the instruction do not state it is subject to URC 522, then what is the position? If it is not mentioned, then you will not be receiving any cover under the provisions of URC 522. You will not receive any cover under the provisions of URC 522. Right? In a scenario like that, it will be the country's law. However, as a prudent banker, you may contact the remitting bank for further instructions. You may contact the remitting bank for further instructions. That will be the exact answer. Mana peli pahai, lakunu pahai. Peli pahai, lakunu pahai. But it has to be brief, precise, to the point. Well, what are okay. Ekkalandaman. මේක ඉවරෙච්ච ගමන් ටක් ගාලා UCP 600 එක අතර ගන්න. Right. You are received a set of documents with single bill of. මොකද මට කියවන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. What is the article? What is the article?
19.
How many times I'll have to tell you, my dear? Give me the exact answer. You are having the document in your hand. නිකාන් 19 කියන්නකො මොකද්ද full article and sub article, otherwise you won't get the marks. You know that, but again you are doing the same mistake. Article 19 is correct. 19 what? A, B, C or D or E, F, G මොකද්ද තියෙන්නේ?
19B.
Article
19B.
Article 19B. මේක අපි කරා. එකම question එක දෙවිදිහකට ඇවිල්ලා. දැන් දැක්ක මම මේක දුන්නේ purposely. We did it as a second or first or second question එක මේක තමයි. Same thing. But see how the examiner can ask the questions in a different angle. Same answer. Same answer. Right? I don't want to give you the answer. අපි answer එක discuss කළා. Right? Only thing, be perfect. You are matured people, right? Okay. හොඳටම මදි. මම මේ මෙච්චර කියලා දීලත් මදි. දැන් අපි බලමු මේකකට ගිහිල්ලා බලමු ටිකක් කොහොමද කියලා. UCP 600 දැන් පාඩම් කරන්න කාලයක් නැහැ. මම දන්නවා ඔයගොල්ලෝ හොඳට පාඩම් කරලා කට්ට පාඩම් කරලා තියෙන්නේ. So let's see how we are going to answer the questions. Right? ඔයගොල්ලෝ කට්ට පාඩම් කරලා තියෙන්නේ. ඇත්තට මට දැන් ගොඩක් getting frustrated with you people. මම මෙච්චරත් කරලා මම මේ වෙම්ම questions එනවා. ඉතින් එන එක හිම්ම දීලා ඒකට ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ effort එකක් නැහැ කියන්නේ ඉතින් you get frustrated නේ as a lecturer. Okay, answer this question. Case study 1. DC showing beneficiary ABC Company Limited. When they present the documents, bill of lading UCP 600 documents presented, bill of lading showing shipper DEF Company Limited. The beneficiary is ABC Company, but the bill of lading is showing the shipper as DEF Company. Is this a valid discrepancy? Is this a valid discrepancy? Just give me the yes or no answer and the article. Is it a valid discrepancy? Can somebody give me the answer? Like LC LC beneficiary ABC company. The documents presented bill of lading showing shipper DF company. Is this a valid discrepancy? මට පේනවා පාඩම් කරලා තියෙන ප්‍රමාණය. මට දුකයි. ගොඩාක් දුකයි.
No. Chance is no.
Answer is no. Can you quote?
The article is 38.
Right? Standards of examination of documents. Article 14 ඉල්ල මොකක්ද දෙන්නේ? මේ කියනවා Article 14 Article 14K. Article 14K answer. The shipper or consignor of the goods indicated on any document need not be the beneficiary of the credit. අමුවේ ගෙඩි පිටින් answer එක තියෙනවා. So, is this a valid discrepancy? No, this is not a valid discrepancy. Because as per the Article 14K, the shipper or consignor of the goods indicated on any document need not be the beneficiary of the credit. Right? That is the answer. Multi-patent authority. You will accept a document. හතරම කියවලා කියන්න බන්න හරි ආන්සර් එක. මේකට අදාළ ආටිකල් එක මොකද? ටක් ගාලා ආටිකල් එක නම් ටක් ගාලා කියන්න පුළුවන්. competent first class අර මේ එනේවා අපි ගන්නවද කියන එක. Article 3. Article 3. What is the answer? A, B, C or D? මම කියවන Article 3 කියලා. Article 3 එකේ මොකක්ද ඔය තියෙන්නේ?
B.
Terms such as first class, well-known, qualified, independent, official, competent, competent authority, competent or local, used to describe the issuer of the document, allows any issuer except the beneficiary to that issue, the beneficiary to issue that document. එන්න මොකද උත්තරේ? What is the answer? Oh,
Answer
okay.
B.
There's no point of spoon feeding. B.
Answer
Can
B.
you read the Article 3, the relevant section again and then answer? I mean, and question at යන්න ගියේ. මේක ළමෙක් B කියලා කියපු හින්දා මම තව විනාඩියක් ඉන්නම්. Can you read it? You can read and understand. No? You have the knowledge for that. Article 3 එකේ ඒ කැලේ කියවන්න. Then give me the answer.
Answer A.
Answer A. It's very clear. It says issued by any party apart from the beneficiary. Other than the beneficiary, any parties will be accepted because we don't take care of this, or we don't care about these words. First class, competent, and all those things. Right? Answer is A. This one. Does the certificate of origin comply with the DC terms and conditions? Okay, I'll give you one clue. Article 14G. 14G. Then what answer again? G. A document presented but not required by the credit will be disregarded and may be returned to the presenter. So did the certificate of origin has been requested by the DC? No. But they have presented. Then the answer should be as per Article 14G. මම ඔයගන්ට කියලා තිබුණා මේවා ආටිකල්ස් කියවලා මම ඔයගන්ට කිව්වා දවසට ආටිකල්ස් දෙක ගන්න කියවන්න. I told you. I'll give you that. මම මේ ඩයරෙක්ට් කරලා තියන් ඉන්න උඹ දන්නවා. මොකද නෑ ළමයිව කටුත්තර නැති වෙන්න මම දෙන්නම් කියලා. මම එක කිව්වේ 25th July 2021. 25th July 2021, I have mentioned that to you. Read at least 2 articles per day and understand. ඔක වුණා නම් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. මෙච්චර අමාරුක වැටෙන්නේ නැහැ. You will be tested for URC, UCP. Right? I'm sorry. That is the truth. It is not my fault. It is the standard of the exam. It is up to you. Article 14G. As per the Article 14G, the certificate of origin has not been requested by the DC, but they have presented. The best option should have been done is to return the document back to the presenter. Anyway, right? But if the presenter wanted to send this document, then the other bank, the issuing bank also, they will ignore this document. They will disregard this document as per Article 14G. They will not check. අඩු ගන්න මේක හරිද කියලාවත් බලන්නේ නැහැ certificate of origin because it has not been requested by the LC. Right? එච්චරයි. DC call for clean onboard marine bill of lading required. Does the word clean need to be indicated on the bill of lading? Does the word clean is to be included in the bill of lading? මොකක්ද ඔකට එන්නේ ආටිකල් එකක් එහෙමම තියලා. clean on board එකට. clean transport documents වලට කොහොමම තියෙනවා දීලා ආටිකල් එක.
Article 27.
Very good. Very good. Article 27. So as for the Article 27, what is the answer? ඔන්නෝම පොඩ්ඩක් හරි එනවා නම් මට ආන්සර් ඉන්න. Does the word clean need to be indicated on the bill of lading? Yes or no?
Need not, sir.
No.
Need not.
Need not. As per the Article 27. At least now you have gone through. I'm sure. I don't think you have ever gone through it again. But this girl, she's committed. She's committed at least to go through it now and then find the answer. That is good. That is something I appreciate. That is something I appreciate. Right? අඩු ගන්න දැන් ඉගෙන ගත්තා. මම දැන් අයිත් එක්සෑම් එකේදී මේ ක්වෙස්චන් එක ඇහුවොත් උත්තරේ දෙන්න පුළුවන් වෙයි. Article 5, case study 5. මේ ක්වෙස්චන් එක දකිනකොටම ඔබට දැනගන්න ඕන ආටිකල් එක කොහෙන්ද හොයාගන්න කියලා එක ක්ලූ එකක් එන්න ඕන ඔළුවට. This should be which type of article? Covering what?
38.
28.
Article 28. 38 question. 38 in transfer LCs. Right? Insurance comes under Article 28. 28. Right? So the DC call for insurance policy for full CI value plus 10%. ඒ කියන්නේ 110%. But the insurance, the document presented is insurance policy indicates an insured amount of 120% of invoice value. 120% of invoice value. Okay. So does the insurance policy comply with the DC terms and conditions?
Yes.
Yes. 28.
F.
Subarticle
28F.
F.
F. F.
F2.
Tahu F2. 28. Subarticle F2. Article 28, subarticle F2. Right? Okay. අනිත් එක කරලා අපි නවත්තුමු. DC call for goods, stainless steel sheets, insurance policy covering Institute Call Clause A. Documents presented, insurance policy showing stainless steel sheets, excluding the risk of shortage, scrap, excluding the risk of rust oxidation. මේ policy එකේ දාලා තියෙනවා stainless steel sheets cover කරලා තියෙනවා stainless steel sheets, but they have some exclusion clauses, excluding the risk of shortage, excluding the risk of rust oxidation. Is the insurance policy showing the exclusion clauses discrepant? What should be the articles and subarticles? Article එකට අග්ගාලා හොයාගන්න පුළුවන්. කීයද article එක?
28G.
28.
28. හරි. එතකොට මොකක්ද දෙන්නේ?
28G.
28G. 28G එකට එනවද? No. Wrong.
28A.
28H.
මොකද එන්නේ?
28I.
28?
28H.
28I. Very good. 28I. An insurance document may contain reference to any exclusion clauses. Therefore, this is not a discrepancy. Exclusions end පුළුවන්. Right? තව එකක් දාන්න පුළුවන්. තව එකක් තියෙන H එක. 28I and H. ඒ දෙකම එකතු කළාම හොඳ ආන්සර් එකක් ඔයගොල්ලෝ ලියන්න පුළුවන්. Right? Okay. I'll stop it there. It is up to you to study. Right? Abi next week make it to take a karna. In article 14.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir.
Right? Yeah.
Excuse me, sir.
Huh?
මේ case study ටික
Yes.
upload කරනවද sir? අපිට
හරි මම අප්ලෝඩ් කරලා දාන්නම්. එහෙමනම් මම උත්තර ටික විතර කලින් දවසේ කියන්න යන්නම්. ඔයගොල්ලෝ කරන්න. Very good. මම මේක අප්ලෝඩ් කරන්න. අද අවසරම
you.
අප්ලෝඩ් කරන්න.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
මේ case study
Sir,
එක
excuse me.
upload කරන්න. Yeah.
Excuse me, assignment එකේ words ගාන over 450 ගියාට ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැද්ද?
Over 450 ගියාට ලොකු ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. හැබැයි not up to 800 900 පොත් නම් එපා.
Okay, sir.
හරිද? පොත් නම් එපා. 450 කියන එක 475 500 කියන එක ඉතින් ලොකු දෙයක් නෙමෙයි. හැබැයි මම දන්නේ ඔයාලට පුළුවන් නම් 1000 වලට යන්න එක ආන්සර් එකක් 1000 වලට යන්න you will be a genius. මොකද මට නම් බෑ. එතකොට මොනවා ලියනවද කියලා දන්නේ නැහැ. ඔයා බොරු ලියන්නේ. ඒක වෙන්න බෑ. 400 එක 450 500 is possible. Right? ඒක 700 800 කරා නම් වෙන්න බෑ.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.